The Durian Heat, bringing big ideas and critical opinions in Southeast Asia.
Hi, this is Arlene Tan from Durian ASEAN. This is the second segment of our discussion on the climate change as well as sustainable awareness in the ASEAN communities with Renee Karunungan, climate justice campaigners and part of the climate tracker. And to continue our discussion today regarding on climate change awareness among communities, is there any sort of advocacy work or awareness campaign that you have done personally to sort of spread the awareness on climate change?
Yes, actually there are a lot of organizations already doing educating communities, making them aware about climate change. I know, for example, 350.org has 350 Indonesia. We have 350 in the Philippines, and then Greenpeace is also doing a lot of campaigning in Southeast Asian region. I know there are also like national organizations doing this. And I think that the result is, we've built a large movement. The climate movement is becoming a very large movement that can affect local policies in the national level.
When you say at the policy level, perhaps some case study example of how civil society have done to sway the voices within the parliament or the Congress?
In the Philippines, we campaigned with Oxfam International about in 2009 to 2011 to have a law on adaptation. So we have what we call a People's Survival Fund law, and it was passed through the push of civil society. We lobbied very, very hard in the Congress and in the Senate so that we can have this law to make sure that people in the communities have enough money, have enough support and resources to adapt to climate change impacts. And we could not do it if we were not together, civil society, coming together, grassroots, non-government organizations, and Oxfam International, being an international organization, working together to push this law and ensure that legislators will approve of this.
And you also done a lot of work on adaptation and mitigation. Perhaps you can share about it.
Yeah, well, actually, right now, so in a more global scale, in terms of mitigation, we have a campaign. It's called Break Free. So we are partnering with organizations like 350 and Greenpeace and other international organizations. And what we're basically doing is we're mobilizing people from the ground in different countries to stop governments from investing in coal.
But how are you doing it to stop government focusing on coal?
Yeah, so first, for Climate Tracker, what we're doing is, we are a global youth writing movement, as I said earlier. We've been writing a lot of articles to pressure our government. Our articles make people aware and educate people why fossil fuels are not good. And second, we ask governments to actually stop building new coal plants or to stop investing in other forms of fossil fuel like oil and natural gas. So that's what we do. We're having a media campaign, and we've so far published like almost 100 articles all over the world in different languages. What we're also doing this May, as a conclusion to this, we're having like a global wave of mobilizations in different countries. I think this is 15 countries all over the world, and people will come together to protest globally against, the fossil fuel industry and our governments investing in coal. Mm-hmm. So this is, part of our work on mitigation. We have to hold governments accountable to what they committed to COP21 in Paris. And that's what we're doing this year.
You mentioned in the first segment that young people have been playing a vital role in ensuring that sustainability and also climate change becomes a mainstream agenda, not just within the government, but also within society. So what have the young people done so far that has swayed the global trend?
Actually, you would be surprised that a lot of these movements that I'm telling you about, these mobilizations, these writing in media and publishing in media, a lot of them are led by young people. climate change is a young people's issue. We know this because climate change will be here with us until the next generation. It will be here with us for the next 50 years. And the people who will live in the next 50 years are no other than young people today. So I think that this is why also young people are very much involved. And you'd be surprised really that the climate movement is made up of, I don't know, maybe 80% young people. So, and this makes us very hopeful, that young people are moving towards how we want our planet to be.
Why is such a huge concern among the younger generation?
Yeah, it's a huge concern because, again, we will be living on this planet for a longer time than our parents or our grandparents. So I think we want to ensure that we still have a good planet to live in the next 50 to 70 years. And that, when our children's children will have a good planet to live in. So I don't think we want to save not the planet, but we actually want to save ourselves,
But what about the current situation right now? What is directly impacting them right now?
Yeah, I think in terms of direct impact, it's actually adaptation. So adapting to climate change is, I think, a very, very important issue for young people, especially because, in the ASEAN region, as I said, we are a vulnerable region. We experience a lot of climate change impacts, just the heat this summer is too much.
The heat waves is striking Southeast Asia a lot.
Yes. Yes, exactly. And, who can deny climate change with this heat, right? I know that there are a lot of young people educating, as I said, on what we can do to adapt to climate change.
And also, when it comes to the effort by Climate Tracker, what about on community awareness on the grassroots?
Yeah, so for my organization in the Philippines, we actually have a climate school. And because we are an artists organization, we actually go to different communities that's vulnerable to climate change impacts. And we teach climate change education, what climate change is, how to adapt, through different art forms. So we show films, we have music classes, and we write songs about climate change. And, we have photography exhibitions on climate change impacts. So, these are like the creative ways that we do to also engage young people in the communities. And as for Climate Tracker, our trackers are actually from the communities. A lot of our trackers are from vulnerable communities. So it's not just like cities and metros. We have like from the countryside.
And that's the end of our second segment today on our discussion regarding on community and youth awareness on sustainability and climate change. We will continue with the third segment.
You're now listening to Durian ASEAN, the voice of discovery and sharing.